Liberals follow the god Liber for liberty and death. A lot of you are going, what the heck does that mean, right? Well, let me tell you a little story. It's actually a little history you might not know of. See, back in ancient Rome, there was a god named Liber. And they actually had a cult that was dedicated to this, and it was given to the plebeians, is who they had called them. So think of the plebeians. The plebeians would be you and I today. Depending on, which country you're in, here in the United States of America, we would be considered the citizens of this alleged republic. That I would argue it still. So, our symbols would identify that, of course, in Washington as far as what we're tied to. Signs and symbols rule the world, not words or laws. So let's talk about this god Liber. God Liber, if you research this in ancient Rome, this god was the god of viticulture. Essentially, that was the god of wine. It was the god of ecstatic release. And it was really considered to be un-Roman if you were basically someone who followed this god. And over time, the Roman elite, so they didn't follow the god Liber. They had other, basically, cults and secret societies that, we could venture into in another time. And, I feel a lot of that, of course, is hidden as well. But, the plebeians, the slaves, the citizens of the world had got the god Liber. And here in the United States, we have a thing that is called liberty. Essentially, you and I, if you're here in this country, we have the liberty to pretty much do as we choose, right? I have the liberty to go out my house right now, pick up my phone, go on Facebook, and shoot these walk and talks with you guys around the world, when I should be working maybe in a factory or some store or restaurant, but no, I decide to exercise my own liberty, start my own business, run my own life, do as I choose, essentially, because that's what I've been taught since birth is the American way. It's something that I followed and I learned, and over time, I feel that I've somewhat mastered. And in the same breath, I realize that this lifestyle that I'm living here, this liberty, is sometimes very selfish. Right? So, this god Liber, most people don't understand, was actually a hidden god. And I contend to say that this god is the fungi god. This is the mass hive mind god. And what's interesting is if you research, hey everybody, what's up, John? Thank you for tuning in live, everybody. It's great to have you here. Please hit the like button. Thank you for tuning in. I love your comments. So please feel free to join the conversation. Again, a lot of you might not have heard of this history of liberty. Where did we get liberty? This concept of liberty. And I'm telling you guys right now, it goes back to ancient Rome. And the god Liber was given to the plebeians, which would be us citizens, of various respective countries around the world, where we're allowed to follow the god Liber to create the world that we see here today. What I see when I look around the world and growing up, I'm 49 years old, is that, through my own mistakes, of course, and then also partaking in the cult of Liber, it's a very, very, very selfish type of cult. Okay, once we get into this liberalism and this liberty and we start researching it and we start really doing some introspective analysis of what we're doing, we're basically all divided and kind of in our own little tracks of life, pursuing our liberty, pursuing our freedom. And at the same time, it seems that we're enslaving one another, over time through that pursuit of liberty, right? So people have learned to take advantage of this system, take advantage of people that are maybe less than them, they're less, economically well off than them, or they have less intelligence, right? So I believe over years, this system of liberty has produced slaves that enslave slaves. And that's what we have now through this liberty. And that's what I've seen. So, yeah, it's pretty cold here. We got a storm coming in. You guys could see the weather. I'm in San Diego County, California. It's Friday. And we have some rain coming in. It was beautiful yesterday. The weather just seems to go in and out. But again, thank you guys, John, Jerry, everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. And please leave your comments. And remember, I'm kind of trying to get to the concept of liberty. I want to get into a little science. It's going to be a little short walk and talk. I have to get to work. But I'm going to talk a little bit about science, about liberalism and conservatism. And again, I grew up liberal. And as I get older, I seem to edge more towards the conservative side. But I'm all about giving people free will. But my question is to the people that have that free will is, do they truly have free will to operate this body and this mind? And if you listen to my other videos where I talk about the demonic fungi, I talk about meth addiction, I talk about heroin addiction, I contend that some people don't have truly free will. They're actually being controlled by their second brain. Okay, so that's where the problem lies with liberty. And that's where I'm getting at. So the science they're finding as far as liberalism and conservatism is that people who are conservative have the ability to detect parasites or threats a lot easier than liberals. I thought this research was really fascinating. This is really scientific research where they're actually testing people who have political ideologies. Basically, what do they align to? What do they attract to? And they're finding that these people who are more conservative, this isn't a blanket statement. Of course, not everybody, but they're more sensitive to parasitism or to, I would say, infection. So, again, I'm all for liberalism. I'm not against, someone choosing their sexual preference or, what they want to do in life. I believe that, that's something great that we should have. But again, I believe some of these choices that people make aren't being made by them per se, but being made by the god Liber. So this god Liber, I contend, is exactly what I've been talking about, that's controlling people and controls essentially this earth. But it lives symbiotically with us as well. Okay, so I'm not talking that Liber is all bad, but Liber takes advantage, i.e. fungi, i.e. the devil, of people that don't understand and are conscious of themselves, of what's going on. And they just kind of go along with whatever ideology is fed into their brain. And they repeat it like mold. Just a copy of a copy of a copy. When I see that, when I see inauthenticity, when I see people basically get ground up by the media and, these same talking points, and then the people literally become talking puppets of the same talking points of the same puppets above them, controlling their minds. I don't know what else is going on. I feel that they're being controlled by Liber, and they're not really using their mind, their reason, their spirit, their soul. So if they're not using their mind, their reason, their spirit, their soul, and they're just repeating the same things that everybody else tells them, what are they? Are they not automatically pathogens? We could say that they're ignorant tools of the black magicians who are controlling their minds, because they're not. It's been me before. I'm guilty of that. I don't, forgive them, for they know not. But Manly P. Hall, if you guys are familiar with Manly P. Hall, he was a Masonic historian, philosopher. He was one of my favorite. Actually, he talked about the different magicians. He said there are white magicians who essentially are active in their gnosis and creating the world around them, and they do not use their knowledge or their lives to take advantage of other people. There's black magicians who actually are the opposite. So they would use their knowledge, they would use their power to gain advantage over their fellow man, to use them as tools to get what they want, money, sex, whatever that might be. So who are these tools? The tools are the gray magicians, what Manly P. Hall labels. Okay, these are the people that are unconscious to what I'm telling you now. They have no knowledge of this. They're not awake to this reality. Okay, they're the ones that keep repeating what the black magicians tell them to say. Okay, and what Manly P. Hall had said about these people is they're the most dangerous magicians of all. Interesting, right? How would someone who doesn't even do magic, who's not even knowledgeable, who's not even conscious of what I'm talking about, be the most dangerous? Pretty interesting, huh? Think about that. Who are these people controlled by if they're not truly using their mind? Who are these people's talking points? Who are they really talking for if they're not original thoughts, authenticity, right? You'll see, like with my walk and talks, no one really talks like I do. It's not that I try to be different. I'm trying to be myself. When I feel weird is when I try to copy like what they're doing out there so you can get more views on YouTube. You could fit into the program, of what everybody else is talking about on Twitter and these political talking points and so forth. Every time that I've ever tried to venture into the mold world where I'm repeating what other people do, I just want to go bam. So literally I'll look at myself and I'll go, oh my God, I hate myself. Meaning I hate when I try to repeat what other people do and be inauthentic. I feel that's being not Gnostic. It's not being true to God. God, I believe, and I've talked about this before, God of the ancients, again, it depends on what you believe, but I believe the grand architect of the universe as far as God is concerned would be Jupiter. And Jupiter is where we get the chemical known as phosphorus. Phosphorus is what we use to think. We have it in our brains and also down here. It's interesting that the more you have down here, the less you think. The more you have up here, the more you think. The more you use it down here, the less you have to think. Right? And then Jupiter's up there somewhere, right? And I talked about this before. Jupiter is the morning star, the star of Bethlehem. Jesus, the morning star, right? Lucifer, he's the morning star. And again, I contend that Jupiter is the morning star. This is where all of us, all our consciousness comes from. But again, people don't really use it, and they use Liber instead. They don't use their autonomous being, and they follow just this God. Okay, so in regards to Liber and ideas and conservatism and philosophy, when you look at ancient philosophy and ideas of God, it's these ideas that go through the test of time that we connect to, right? And these ideas of how to be human, how to operate a government, how to be a being and a conscious person have been going back through the times of, Plato, Pythagoras, Plutarch, back ancient Greece, Crete, Egypt. And these teachings have been going through time to us now. And they're the same fundamentals generally since then, but changed a little bit with some science added into it. Hey, thank you for listening, everybody. Again, please comment, say where you're from. I know I have some listeners from Athens, Greece. Thank you for listening from Greece, New Zealand, Switzerland, Britain, UK, Canada, of course here in the United States, my beloved country, even people near me in San Diego. Thank you again for tuning in. Please comment. Again, I'm not getting into the political side of, liberals versus conservatives or right versus left. I just want you guys to try to understand where the concept of liberty comes from, the history behind it. All right, so again, I'm all about liberty. I'm all about, being an autonomous being. But again, my question is, these people that have liberty, are all of them truly in control of this? I contend they're not, especially when they just repeat what other people do. Their lives are essentially one frame after the other, a talking point given to them by someone else in their brain. Rather than thinking rationally and making their own conscious decisions, right? Hey, what's up, NorCal? Hey, Julie. Malachi, Justin, what's up, guys? Hey, you're welcome, Malachi. So here's, I want to talk to you about, alcohol addiction. I've been suffering all my life since I was 10 years old with alcohol. And I believe what ended up happening over time is I developed a fungal infection and then you did. And that's what drives the want for the alcohol, the want to be unconscious. And then this fucking crazy world that I'm talking about, that I talk about in these podcasts. My last podcast, I talk about the end of the world as we know it. It's this world of craziness that has made us, I believe, a lot of us drive us to alcohol, to be hurt, for our parents to be alcoholics. So these are the things that when you have a problem, I believe, with drugs or alcohol, like yourself or me, is that you really got to dig deep. It's not just stopping alcohol and healing yourself. It's really thinking about why you drink, why maybe your parents did what they did, because a lot of, I feel, the drinking and the drugs we're doing to drown these sorrows, to become unconscious to the hurt, to the world, to the pain, to the suffering. And in turn, we medicate. By medicating, we then create these health conditions within our body where we start not being able to control our bodies, our minds, and that's exactly what the demonic fungi wants. So I found the more I resist, the more powerful I get. The more I give in to these impulses, to these addictions, to these cravings, whether it's food. I intermittent fast, right? I haven't ate yet. I've been up since 4 a.m. It's about 10 a.m. Have a little coffee in the morning. My stomach has been, I want to eat. Yeah. And I said, no, I'm not going to eat. And I usually wait until about 11 o'clock to eat. I also haven't drank in about 3 weeks, but before that it was 4 months. So you guys know, instead of saying I've quit forever, I'm in control of my drinking. I'm in control of myself. I've decided I do enjoy a little beer here and there, a little drink, but I don't want the drink to control me. Am I drinking or is it drinking me? If you get what I'm saying. Am I consuming it or is it consuming me? So I realized every weekend, if I have to drink, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every single weekend, without fail, it's controlling, consuming me. Rather than going on prolonged fast from alcohol, which I believe you need to do because you know exactly what you're doing now, is that the best thing to do is to abstain from it most of the time, especially if you have addiction issues and fungal issues like myself. It's getting hot now. I'm walking up this hill. Whoops, sorry about that, guys. And take this jacket off. Sun's starting to come out. Beautiful. Yeah, I usually do these walks and there's never anybody walking anywhere. But so I found, as far as addiction goes, if you guys are looking, to become stronger, is resist those urges, resist those cravings that they're not coming from here, from you. Where are they coming from? From here, right? Which I believe is connected to the ground, and that we're all part of this symbiotic kind of thing. And then when we transgress against nature's laws, when we be parasitic, when we be pathogenic, they come to eat us. There are legislators within us, right? We got the legislators, of course, in Washington and the Senate, but ultimately we create our own heavens and hells from within, and choosing the God we choose to follow. So do you follow the God Liber, or do you follow the true God that the ancients would call, and that I believe our consciousness comes from? So if you study Jupiter, phosphorus, that's almost like poisonous to the mold. That's what makes us alkaline. Some smart mofos have been leaving comments about their health. Turpentine, different types of herbs. That's alchemy, guys. Being your own doctor, being your own physician, taking care of this, understanding what's going on, not giving your power to an overlord to think for you, to give you medications that will kill you, right? Use this, connect to God, or use this and connect to that God. We're living symbiotically. One's in charge of the other. And that's what I believe is the key, right? We could all have liberty, but the question is, are you really exercising your liberty and your true mind, or is someone else controlling it for you? That's the question, right? Anyways, I'm going to try to check out a couple more questions here. Yo, Ken. I like that comment. If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people things they don't want to hear. That was a George Orwell quote. Oh, that's a great question, Jode. I'm going to finish this walk and talk with that. Can you talk about the power of attention? Sorry I can't get to all your questions and so forth. There was another question I'm going to try to get to as well. The power of attention's everything. That's what everybody is seeking. I don't do these for attention per se. I do these to wake people up, to flesh out my ideas. I'm not here for essentially the money, so I could sell you something, right? So I believe it's a form of magic, of power. The more perception, the more focused you get other people's eyes upon you or your work, whatever that be, it fuses that work with the energy of those people. You see this at concerts. You see it live at comedy arenas. So when that comedian's up there, or that musician on stage, I believe there's an energy transference actually going from our eyes to the performer. Okay, and I believe it actually goes through this as well, through the internet, the filaments of the internet. So I believe the perception, and focusing one's attention, whatever that may be, gives that thing power, right? So, that's why, we could say the media is focused on Washington 24/7, and then it interlines things between there, because the more attention, the more words, the more we become focused upon Washington, the more power we give Washington with our perception, with our eyes, even if it's filled with lies. Be lies, I tell them, right? So if you believe lies, your perception is giving that thing power over you to literally consume you. Is usually that's usually the outcome of that, So you will know them by their works or their lack thereof, or their lies or the truth. It's really pretty simple. And choose, if you choose to give and want to change the world, stop following the bullshit, the lies, and give your attention and your focus to the love and to the truth. But also don't be afraid to confront the bullshit. That's what I think is very important. That's kind of what I'm doing, with these walk and talks. It all started with my son getting sick from mold, and then me trying to get help from doctors, and that help turned into almost them killing him and them not giving a shit, and me questioning everything about this system and this world that I thought was here and was altruistic, But I quickly learned when that happened that, the doctors didn't know shit about mold and fungi, and, the things that they were giving him were killing him, and I went on this path to save his life, and then realized, through this research, that this fungi, this mold, was one of the main reasons that people are suffering. My son was suffering. You're probably suffering. Addicts, are suffering. I'm finding it controls your mind. It controls everything. It controls the world, right? Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you. Mo, the Gnostic Warrior. Please hit the like button. Share this video with others. Talk about Liber and liberty. What God are you following? What thoughts are in your head? What are you repeating? The idea is to take these ideas, these philosophies, apply them to your life in your own kind of ways, and, not copying everything, but learning about it and being authentic. And that's where I found when you're authentic, truly, you're living a good life, and you choose to, say what you want, do what you want, live the life you want. Anyways, peace be with you guys. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.